We are Fairy Tail!
I am Natsu Dragneel.
Hey, I'm Gray.
Put your clothes back on, you damn underpants, Shogun.
Oh, you want to go, General Snowface?
Yeah, come on, bring it, Droopy Eyes.
I'm Loki, and ladies, my number is... And you can text me anytime.
I am Elfman, hair from my fizz to meet your face.
Natsu!
What?
Hi. Hey, Natsu!
Huh?
Lucy likes you.
Don't say weird shit like that when I'm trying to fight Gray. Oh, yeah? Well, you still haven't beaten me yet, Gray.
Oh, yeah, you want to go again?
Bring it then!
Until the two of you are stronger than me, no fighting!
I'll be good.
Urza, why don't you just let them be? Isn't it better this way?
Hey, Charles. Yeah? Here's a biscuit cup for you. No way.
Hey, Natsu,
Huh?
remember when I asked you if I could be your wife a long while back?
Uh-huh.
That question still stands.
What?
It still stands.
Don't you get involved in this, Gray.
Is the big bad Natsu gonna get angry?
Fire Dragon's Fist! Whoever the hell else we feel like bringing into this show, I'll give you a clue. Shooba-dooba! Alrighty, so an extra special interview for you guys, as kind of a bonus for like all the downloads we've been getting. An extra special interview for us, definitely, because this is our first time with an actual director. We are glad to welcome Tyler Walker, the director of the Fairy Tail dub, onto the show.
Hey guys, what's up? Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. This is definitely a treat. We'll have definitely some directing questions to ask you because I don't know about the rest of the crew or the audience, but I definitely want to know, first and foremost, what is it like to direct an anime that you're dubbing?
Oh man, that is general.
What all goes into it? Like, what all do you have to do?
You got to know your show. You got to know who the characters are. You got to kind of understand what point the show wants to get across. Like, you know, where's the heart of the show? What's the vibe you want to get across? What's the energy level? What's everyone else's energy level? How do these characters, you know, once you have the ensemble, how they all work together, how they all work off each other, who you have a rapport with, you know, with casting, who do you trust, who knows, you know, we've built these relationships with actors over the years, and, you know, that's a big part of it, knowing what you can expect out of someone, what you can get out of someone, where you can push someone, and they know what you want. I know there's a lot that goes into that kind of thing, and just kind of getting the general attitude of the show. You know, when to be jokey, when to be more serious, how dark to go. You know, it's all there, right, in the story, in the script, but, you know, where to really mine from that.
Right. Well, Funimation announced in April, actually toward the end of April, that they got the licensing rights, but you guys actually grabbed up the licensing rights in January. So how much prep time did you do before anybody even stepped into the booth?
Well, I got the nod that, you know, this may be what we're doing and probably what we're doing, you know, There's a whole process that I'm not involved with acquiring the shows and getting all the rights. But we like to be able to hit the ground running whenever we get the go ahead, right? Mm-hmm. So I had watched, I don't know how many episodes, however many were out about last November. Started reading the manga, and I, of course, requested to be on the writing team from John Bergmeyer, the head writer there. I'd written adaptive scripts for a couple of shows before this, and I really like to be a part of that, especially if I'm going to direct it, because it gets you more steeped in the show. Mm. You really have to spend time with the characters. You really have to know how you want them to sound, and you kind of get an idea of who is going to be voicing what to a certain degree. You don't want to just pre-cast and say, well, this is the cast, but you have a certain idea, and you kind of write with people in your head. And so anyway, and we started auditioning late last year, and by then I'd already watched, I don't know, I want to say, how many episodes were out then? Like 50-something?
Yeah, there were definitely that many, because they just got through, 102?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I think 103 comes out today in Japan.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
And, I'd gotten a box of, I think, the first 12 volumes at that point. Yeah, I want to say 12. Mm-hmm. And so I started pouring through that, and I had a couple of weeks off from when I finished our last gig, the last show that I worked on. And then, I was starting writing on this and watching, so it was pretty immersed in it. By the time the auditions came around, I already knew about people that popped up in the second season and who those would be, and who I had in mind for those, and kind of what I was listening to, and this person was this person, and farther on down the line, this other character would be someone else, and so I don't know. I was pretty immersed in it.
No, I do remember hearing this. I know you mentioned John Bergmeyer, but Monica Rial was also involved in some of the scripting process, wasn't she?
Yeah, we have a basically the hierarchy there is we have the head writer who's like the king of the writers or whatever, which is John Bergmeyer, right? and he pretty much everything goes through his desk, right?
I actually kind of find that ironic. That John is now one of the head writers. For those who are wondering where they've heard that name before, if they're sitting there, it's rattling in their brain. John Bergmeyer was Kurama in Yu Yu Hakusho, and this is why I find it ironic. He was Shigure, the writer in Fruits Basket. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we were recording Hero Tales last year. We had a bunch of like kind of youngish girls coming in, maybe like late high school or something. They were watching us do Hero Tales, it was like, this is John Bergmeyer, blah, blah, blah. And, we recorded a scene with them watching. And anyway, and they were all really, really quiet, right? And like just their mom was asking questions and kind of engaging with us. And then all the girls were very, very quiet. And then about, 10, 15 minutes goes by, and the girls had left. And we're just sitting there, we're recording, we're in the scene. And then one of them pokes their head in and they go, "Are you Shigure?" And he says, "Oh, yes." And they go, "Ah!"
I promised I would never do that.
Oh, whatever, Lisana.
Yeah, right. Lies. There would be a smile that you could not slap off of my face if I so much as entered the building. Like, yeah.
It was pretty funny, but things basically, everything goes past his desk. Mm-hmm. And then we have a lead writer for each show, which in this case is Monica, who is very, very thorough. And we have your episode writers. I am an episode writer on this one. So out of every batch, I might do 1 or 2 scripts. And then she'll do, 3. And then someone else might pick up 1 here or there. So got a team on this.
And for others who are also wondering what other involvement she has, Monica is also Mira Jane.
Yep.
So I know that you've gotten up to the first 48 episodes or 42? I think it's 48.
Yeah, we finished. We went through all the Fighting Festival arc.
Yes, and that was the point I was going to get at. Wow, like the power screams that she had to do for that particular arc. For those who for those who aren't current, we're not going to spoil it, but yeah, Mira Jane has to do some serious screaming at that point.
It was totally sick, and it's funny because she did that, and we just we saved that for last, and we just killed her voice on that session. I feel so bad because I'm always the guy who's like, you gotta scream, you gotta scream, you gotta scream, and you gotta rag out your voice, and blood on the plop screen, and it's just like. You just see, like the joke is, your throat just looks like a pack of Big League Chew once it's done.
Oh.
She comes out and she'd had this, she'd just gotten a haircut and she sounded like someone different. It's like someone else walked out of the booth, She came in and someone else came out.
I'm worried about that because I'll walk into the booth, like if I were to audition, I think I'd probably walk into the booth sounding like this and everything, and then when I got out, I'd be like, Tyler, did I do a good job on that?
Like, you know what? We need about 5 more seconds. If you can hold it out just a little bit longer.
Okay, I need some fairy tale tea.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a sadistic gig from time to time, but
Oh yes, I can definitely imagine. And the biggest problem, I have something in common, or I had something in common with Greg Ayres. I am a smoker who is slowly trying to kick his habit.
Well, he quit.
Yeah, I know that. I heard that he did. I'm slowly moving on to the e-cigarettes, and that's like weaning me slowly off of actual cigarettes.
Yeah.
To the point that I don't have to worry too much because the electronic cigarettes don't carry all the carcinogens and stuff that kill your throat. It's just pretty much a little bit of nicotine and mostly air.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to a point, it's actually really good because it's more of an oral fixation at this point. So basically, I end up just chewing on it most of the time.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I had to ask you about that fairy tale tea, because I was at NYAF and I remember the Q&A session.
Oh
so
yeah.
What all is in this fairy tale tea now?
Oh, it's just you can get it at any grocery store. It's just a certain brand of tea. It's called Throat Comfort, and I bought it, for the booth because I'm sitting here and I'm just like, making everyone's throats bleed, working on the show. And it's just been like that forever. And, occasionally we have tea or whatever in there. And I got in the stuff and gave it to Todd. And he's like, oh, wow, this really works, because he went out there. It sounded shredded, totally shredded.
I can imagine that.
And,
like high energy.
Yeah. And, they all kind of do that. And doing Gray. And we'd gone through Taito with him on Hero Tales. And that was a real killer, and it's just one of those things that we have to deal with constantly. And I finally found the blend that worked pretty well, Throat Comfort, and Sabbath's into it, and people sometimes though drink it before a session, a little bit putting the cart before the horse, but whatever. They perform.
I will definitely be looking into that. We don't usually have those kind of things here because we unfortunately. I'm very pressed for time because it takes so long to edit one of our episodes that I normally have to just 5 takes max usually. That's how it is for me for just one line of dialogue. And usually I get what I need, and I'm trying not to be overly picky. And because we don't have to worry about flaps, that makes things a lot easier, and I can time everything with the way I cut it because it doesn't have to match a certain, speed or it makes it a lot easier that way. But yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah, it's like a musician being in pocket,
Oh yeah. Speaking of which, I didn't get a chance to look at it. Who was Lyra?
Oh, Lyra is this actress named Kristen Sutton.
Mm-hmm.
And
she has an amazing singing voice.
Oh, really? Oh,
yes. I loved hearing her sing.
Oh, that's really sweet. I'll definitely let her know. She actually just moved out to LA, so.
Yeah, and so did Todd, because I heard y'all ribbing the crap out of him in the commentary.
Oh yeah, that's.
They were ribbing on Todd so hard for just moving to LA.
That's Colleen's running joke. She's like, "Well, Todd Habercorn's gone. We'll just have to find the new Todd."
That's gonna be fun when next weekend rolls around because we'll be seeing them both. And I don't want to feel like we're stalking them, but they need to stop showing up at all the conventions we're attending them, and maybe it won't feel that way.
No, they need to be out there and promote.
Right. Well, we're definitely going to be doing a lot of promoting. I'm going to see if I can, take the DVD to the convention and get it signed discreetly. That way other people don't see that I have an advanced copy.
Well, I think people that ordered theirs from a certain online company got theirs in already.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, so I wouldn't be the only.
No, you wouldn't be the only one. I've seen people talking about it, and people,
Really? Awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
I look these things up sometimes to get some feedback, even though I probably shouldn't.
No, that's actually, I would say that's a good thing to do from a directing standpoint. Yeah. All right, I've asked enough questions myself, so I'm going to turn it over to everybody else to go ahead and ask you some questions.
All right.
Whoever that was good.
Thanks.
Have you directed just animes, or have you actually directed like a live action?
No, just dubs.
Just dubs?
It's only been dubs, yeah.
What's it like? Like, is it easier working with people just doing the voices?
Well, it's hard to say because you have to put so much into the way that you sound, and it's so nuanced, and it's so, you don't have the benefit of, seeing your expression or seeing your, how you're holding your body or your body language. You have to really get it all out. Good examples when we were working on Bacano, one of the last scenes with Lutgand or Jason Liebrecht. We're doing this line again and again, and I was like, man, I'm just not hearing it. I don't know what's wrong. I'm just not hearing the line. And he's like, all right, Tyler, look at me. I got up and I went and so I could get a better view of him through the window, and he gave the line the same way, but the expression on his face everything came together. It was kind of interesting.
Okay, so I guess you'd consider what we do to be cheating because we can actually kind of see what we're doing.
Well, I can normally, there's just normally there's a speaker in my way, or I'm not looking at their face, or I'm looking at the screen, or I'm looking at the.
Oh, okay. You're talking about their expression, not the character's expression.
No, his expression. He's like, look at his face, and I went and looked him right in the eye, and he's like, does the line, and it's like. Okay,
well, in that case, we're in the exact same position because we can't see anybody. Everything that I have to go off of is completely all audio.
Ah, okay.
So, yeah, I was gonna say that everything that we do is straight out audio based. So when I have to direct, I can't tell anybody's expression. I have to go from the tone and subtlety of the voice. So, yeah. I thought you were talking about the characters, and I'm like, oh, we're staring at the manga page the entire time we're doing this, so it's like we're cheating.
Yeah, I like to look right at Jason.
That's not creepy, I mean.
It's pretty funny.
Sometimes with a few of the lines that we have to say, we all have some issues where suddenly we forget English. And
you're talking about Happy, aren't you?
Me too.
She has possibly the best outtakes of all time because she'll start off saying a line and then she'll trip over herself because she's reading too fast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then she'll trip over herself and then she'll keep on rambling. I mean, of course it's not the line, but that's some of the best stuff comes up when she does that.
Oh yeah.
That or when she's doing a childish or a pet voice that's uber cute and adorable and just, it's that fluffy piece voice. And then she says the most profane stuff in the world. Gold.
The more you go over a line, the less English it becomes. You have some sort of saying that you say, and it just morphs into where it just sounds like syllables thrown together. That's when you move on to the next line, and then you might get that line before. But everyone's got their lines that trip them up, or you have this kind of tongue twister to where it's like, oh, did the writer say that out loud? Because that is really hard to say. If you want to get a punch in the face from Newt Pittman, probably just say I'm bound and determined to defeat Deliora. It's a tough one to get.
Gray, you want to say that?
No.
But yeah, come on.
I'm bound and determined to defeat Deliora.
Your lines.
Yeah.
My main question is some of those really annoying lines where it just sounds so confusing. How many takes on average do you think it takes before the voice actor will finally legitimately be able to say it right and you're just like, yes, that is it?
Well, really, the script is a living document, right? you want to get the point across. If something is too hard to say or sounds unnatural, you make it say the same thing with just a different wording or a different phrase or something like that. Or at Funimation, and I don't think they do this at a lot of other studios.
You mean like the dub of Ghost Stories?
Well, no. I'm talking about like at Funimation, we have this thing called give me a wild take, or do it wild, or go wild, or whatever, which means, you say, come on, Happy, you ready? And then say, okay, one wild, come on, Happy, you ready? Come on, Happy, you ready? And they just do it over and over and over again until they get the line right, and then you scoot it back into place, you cut it, and you put it into the flaps and see how it works there. Instead of setting the whole process up, because, there's a certain process that we do to record every line. Every line is time-coded. Every line has beeps, which cue the actor when to come in. So sometimes instead of doing everything over again, the actor will just kind of repeat the line again until we get it right. Or you might have a different inflection you want to use. You might say, give me a more upwards inflection at the end, or hit this word instead of this word, or do it, just a little faster, or do it slower, or pause between these two phrases. So, there's a lot of kind of that stuff that they'll just do. I guess you could say it's ad-libbing, but it's after, the animation is over. Okay. And sometimes you might go again and again and again and again on a certain thing. And some actors almost automatically give you a second take on every line, and some, people like to get everything to picture. So everyone's different up there.
How important do you consider it to be for a director to have acting experience?
That's a hard one, because I didn't personally have a lot of experience acting. When I was a kid and when I was in high school and all that stuff, and I'd been in some sort of performance thing since I was a child, either being on stage or doing, sound for something, or, kind of being in the world of that. I mean, what are, I could ask you, and not to put myself in
No, that's fine.
Class, not to put myself in this class, but, how many roles have you seen Stanley Kubrick in? How many roles have you seen Steven Spielberg in? It's not necessary. You just have to be able to communicate what a listener or someone who's thinking critically might want from this performance.
That's true.
So, I mean, I personally didn't have a whole lot of experience in the booth acting. I was a sound engineer. I was sitting in there with the directors and the actors for years before I got on that side of things. When I was an ADR engineer, I worked for Mike McFarlane for a long time, and with Justin.
That's a name I definitely recognize.
And Colleen directed, and Chris Kaysen, and Chris Bevins, and the list goes on and on. There's a lot. I worked with a lot of directors there, and I kind of see everyone's style, and everyone has their own style, and there's things that, I mean, just listening critically to the performance and what do you want out of it,
Right.
What needs to be there that isn't there? What's there,
The reason I ask is because sometimes we'll go through lines and I have a difficult, and this is my fault, not theirs. I have a difficult time explaining how I want something to sound.
Yeah.
And I can do line readings with them a couple of times, and it sometimes it just really feels like I'm not able to convey the right emphasis of how I want the character to sound and stuff. And I just was wondering if, like, it actually hurt more to be an actor trying to direct than it did to just straight out be a director, because I've done both, and it's kind of
there's no one hard and fast rule, and with some actors you can be a little more abstract with your direction, and some actors you need to tell them specifically what you're looking for. You can say more, more put off, or more annoyed, or more excited, or, we need to, there's some classic examples of directing there, like.
Okay, now I kind of want to try this out.
Give me the line, someone who tends roses. I always take the actors first, there's a back and forth, so I always take the actors first volley, right? And what you do is tell them what they need to do different, or, you say...
Oh, okay. So, if they gave you just kind of their rough shot, and then you kind of fine-tune it.
Yeah. I mean, it really depends on... There's just an interaction there that can't be... That's different with everyone.
Oh, okay.
It's like, they're all They all have their own thing to bring to the table. They all have their own level of experience. They all have their own anticipation of what it should be, or they have their own ideas of what it should be, or their preconceived notion. And they all bring that to the table. And then my job is to normally, I don't know how many times it doesn't work without, for every, for one take that gets out, there's, however that didn't make it,
Oh yeah, I'll bet. I can definitely tell from some of the, like, sometimes I'll have a line that started off, somebody started off, they were so good, and then like the emotion kind of gave away, or their voice kind of changed up midway through, and so the line kind of died off, and we had to try it again. And there's a lot of that where it started off really, really well, but it kind of like fizzled or something, where like it fizzled at the beginning, but they got the ending, and I'm like, we have to do a retake.
I mean, that's where like director has to be, in my mind, and it needs to be patient, and a director needs to be able to communicate what they need, and what they're
those are the two things I definitely need to learn for this show.
Because patient, you want everybody wants to do a good job, right? And everyone wants to do the best they possibly can and be validated and be happy and watch their performance later and not cringe at it and be proud of it, and you want to foster that, and you don't want it to be an adversarial relationship.
As a person who's doing a voice on, like, the podcast, what can you do to, like, how can you tell us that, or direct us in, oh God, I'm trying to word this right, and, like, expanding our voice range? Like, not being stuck with, like, one or two voices, like, having variety.
Yeah, I mean, I guess y'all have a smaller cast to pull from that y'all are trying to do. Each one is trying to do more voices, am I right?
Yeah, we've got, what's going on right now is our Happy is also our Lucy.
Mm-hmm.
And just because we're random and crazy, she does Arcana, but she does it with a British accent. Actually, what's really funny is I do Natsu, and I also do Bixlo.
Oh, okay.
And Gray does Gray and Freed. But what's really crazy about it, when we do Freed and Bixlo, I mean, just to kind of throw that out, what we do is we basically make them like Bill and Ted.
Really?
Yeah, we do. We do that in a very Bill and Ted style. So every time we're like, excellent! Oh! And it's basically how Gray is learning to not sound British. Like, it's the time that he can take away that British. No, all the British accents and the tones and the nuances that come with having a British accent. He sounds very American in that tone. And so it's kind of like we're winning him off of the bad habit of being British with his voice.
See, I would think Freed would be more inclined to have a British accent, but
yeah, I did too. But like Gray, because it's his natural voice, Gray's the one that sounds British. So we're just like, we can't do it that way because now it sounds much like Gray.
As far as doing different voices go, there's I think what you just have to be in touch with is the physicality behind each voice or each reaction, or where you are in your throat, where you're hitting it from, where your breath comes from, and what you're doing physically. Because there's a lot of different things you can do physically, gruffing up your voice. You can push it more from your diaphragm. You can use more of a head voice. You can use more of a nasal voice. I had one guy, when he did a younger voice, he basically pushed in his Adam's apple to get his voice a little higher, which it was horrible. I couldn't stand watching him.
How do you, oh my God, that does work.
Yeah, but it's
oh my God.
Oh my God.
I just got the picture of somebody like sitting in the booth holding their nose and sounding like they've got a sinus issue or something.
I like how everybody's doing it now.
And there's certainly with physical things like FMA. Everyone knows the dog bowl or whatever, the big thing behind Al's voice. We recorded it with a metal dog food bowl to get that resonance. And we've used that kind of stuff before. And
okay, I have to ask this: what did you use when Macau was pretending to be Natsu as a salamander inside the glass? Because that was totally still Todd's voice at that time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how did y'all get that effect? That was awesome.
Oh, I don't remember. That was something that Andrew Tips. It was some sort of probably some Andrew Tips trick that he used. I'm not sure. We do have a commentary with him, episode 27 or something, where he talks.
Oh, damn! It'll be a minute before I hear it. That'll be set 3.
Yeah, some of the stuff that he used as far as getting the effects and some of the things, some of the tricks he uses in the booth. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what he used then, but we have some pretty good plugins on a Pro Tools rig, and it's probably something like that would be like a.
Okay, so now you're talking Gray's language because he does all of that stuff.
I'm a sound engineer as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, something like that would probably be, if just thinking off the top of my head, would probably be like a delay with a very short repeat time. Mm-hmm. Like a very quick delay, so where it gets that kind of resonance.
Okay.
Or maybe you would cut some of the.
See, I just didn't know if y'all had done something in the booth, or if that was an after Mike had edit. If that was like something that y'all threw together after.
Yeah,
that was definitely post work. Okay.
But later, Natsu does wear a giant kitty head.
I do.
I love
remember
the kitty
that.
head. Oh my god.
The Tower of Heaven arc. Yes, indeed.
And that was all real.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
He had to wear a big kitty head.
Well, we have a giant Vegeta head.
I'm sorry, what?
Did you put a Vegeta head on Todd when he did that?
Yeah, there's this Vegeta costume, and it's got it's like this huge thing. It's probably, I don't know.
Face it, these are the stories that our fans wanted to know.
It's got a big around, it's probably like I don't know, it's this huge, huge head.
Okay, somebody in the audience is going to ask this, or we'll probably get crucified for not asking this question. When he put the Vegeta head on, did Todd say anything about over 9,000?
Oh, of course. What do you think?
Oh, okay. Because I was like, I'm like, we're probably going to get crucified.
But,
another question, did he run around with it later on because he could? Or did you make sure to get it off?
We had to do so many lines with that, and we had to do them all with and without the head because, the sound engineer might say, like, man, I can't use this. I mean, what the hell were y'all thinking? So we wanted to make sure that we get both of them. So we had to do all those scenes twice.
Oh!
Head and without, and they had to wear the headphones underneath the helmet that's in the head.
I have this image in my head of say your line, okay, take the head off, say your line, okay, next line, put the head on, say your line.
It was kind of like that. We did it all head on, head off.
Oh, I'm totally doing it.
So it's just like he's just sweating bullets, and he's
Well, I'm not letting.
Don't get any ideas.
I'm not letting him do it alone, thankfully. So when you do dub episode 100, please send me a text, let me know, so that I can go ahead and get my tattoo as well.
All right.
And then I will take a picture of it with my phone and send it to you guys.
That's dedication.
Yes, I will. Well, I'm going to be cosplaying as Natsu. I'm already getting it. I'm already getting the cosplay together, and I've already said that I was going to go get the fairy tale tattoo.
I'm going to do it just because I like it.
Yeah. Hey, here's one for you. I am terrified of needles. If we actually do get a 100 episode of the dub, I'm terrified of needles. I will run in the other direction from a needle. I will actually sit down and let.
But you'll get the tattoo?
I will actually sit down and let somebody put Levy's tattoo on my shoulder.
All right. Well, I finally got a chance to really see it because you don't see Levy's tattoo. It's not actually pink. It's white.
Oh.
It is?
So, yeah, it's on her back. It's not actually pink. It's white. So somebody, because she cosplayed as Levy for Anime Week in Atlanta, and I painted it on with acrylic paint.
Yeah.
And the only image we could find was it had the image in pink, so it must have been fan art or something. But it was the correct spot on her back, but it was in pink, and we were trying to find out what color it actually was. And I finally saw it in the anime, and it's white. And I'm like, damn it, we were wrong.
These are hard to come by.
I know, right?
What was your favorite part in directing Fairy Tail?
I'm such a not picking favorites, but
he was like, getting to.
That's a big deal. I mean, it's actually a very big honor to get tapped to do a big show like that.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd never done anything this long running or this anticipated, and I feel very blessed to have gotten this opportunity to direct the show and to work with all these people. You know, I loved doing that Vegeta Head session that we were just talking about, and just seeing part of it, like, you know, working on some of the scripts and seeing that all the way through to the end is extremely gratifying. You know, knowing the whole process that comes through and then seeing it, you know, getting in your hands and, you know, watching it at home and, you know, hearing it all come together and, you know, and taking it to New York and seeing how much the fans really loved it. You know, everyone's singing along with it and people are like, some lines you couldn't even hear because people were like screaming over it. You know?
I know. I was like, dang. Why are you guys laughing? The funnier part was what he was saying next.
Yeah, but I mean, that's very, very gratifying just to know that people really love the show and, you know, that, you know, I was trusted with it and I'm very pleased with, you know, with what we came up with. I mean, things are going to be a little bit different than than what some people may know as, you know, a line or a whatever, or someone's voice in the Japanese, but...
Right. Well, I mean, again, and this is something I have to say to people all the time, because I'm the mid-ground when it comes to sub versus dub. If you want to think of them as liberals and conservative, I guess I would be moderate when it comes to sub versus dub. I've had to say to people several times that are major sub supporters, I was like, look, dude, the Japanese version is not scripture.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things that work. Whatever you like is what, you know, whatever makes you happy is what makes you happy.
But I was like, look, it's not scripture. It's not set in stone. The same dialogue doesn't always work. There are jokes that would only be understood in Japanese culture. I mean, for God's sake, Shin-chan is completely different in Japanese.
Oh, yeah.
And to be honest, I don't like the Japanese version. I just don't. I mean, it's mostly because I don't get all the jokes, because I don't understand the culture as well as I should.
What our goal is, and it was, you know, told to me by someone else who works there, is we were trying to make compelling entertainment. And as long as we satisfy that goal, then, you know, I think we've succeeded.
Oh, it was great, because I mean, the best part is I wasn't just when I watched it, when I was watching episodes, and we were actually watching some of the episodes together for the Funimation channel on YouTube. The thing that I was doing was judging, because if I'd already seen the episode, I would watch the episode with them just to hear their reaction to the show.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt completely satisfied with what you guys did when I'm listening and Gray is laughing at all the same places that we were laughing at for the Japanese version. It was still just as funny in English, and you had the same the nuances of the characters.
Yeah,
were exactly how they were supposed to be. Like I said before, you guys nailed the characters.
We might have a different interpretation of a character. For example, if you watch the Lullaby arc, and if you listen to Aragorn, right?
Yeah.
And Japanese, he's very, like, he sounds very low-key, and he's very slow and very quiet and very... It doesn't sound... Our version is much more gruff and more aggressive because I wanted him to be scarier. And I think there's certain things culturally that are viewed differently because I've noticed...
See, I didn't remember Aragorn from the Japanese version because first off, it felt like so long ago to me.
Oh, yeah.
And secondly,
remember.
because he was just like that one character that his whole purpose was to show up to get his ass kicked by Natsu.
Oh, yeah, totally.
That was his whole purpose. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's that guy Natsu beat way back in the day.
I mean, I think we have a different take on that character than the Japanese, but I think to an American audience it makes sense to have, Jonathan Brooks's, like, big, ballsy, like, raspy voice that's got this kind of aggression and this more physicality, there's impending violence behind his voice, and there's also some thoughtfulness, and it doesn't sound to me as, he's not kind of pondering his actions, he's making more statements, and it's a little more proactive.
Great job with the narration as well.
Oh yeah, Bob Magruder. He's
Oh, he's so good.
I was laughing in the commentary when he's talking about when he tucks his kids in at night.
Oh no! I'm sorry. The best part of the whole thing is when they show up on Galuna Island and they get to the village and there's that keep out sign. He's like, the dreaded keep out sign, and I'm like, oh my god, yes.
Yeah, he's really good. And he's real old school, and he's great. Working with him, it goes through. He really wants to know what he asks a lot of questions, and he's very into what he's saying, and he can really convey, like, a lot with just his tone.
Honestly, if I knew nothing about Fairy Tail at all, and I just heard the opening where he's talking about it, welcome to the Kingdom of Fiore, that would make me interested right there. And just the first couple of minutes as he's doing that, the lead-in for the intro pulls you in, and I think that was very, very good to have that done.
I think that may actually have been the hardest line in the entire series to write, that leading intro. Like, every writer took a crack at it. We had, like, 4 people on that, and, like, it went through all these permutations of different phrasings and different tones and different attitudes and things that, it wanted to make its bullet points or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It was like that actually went through the most forms of any of the line in it because, for those first 10 or 11 episodes, that's, right there at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, that line is amazing because from the start, I decided, like, the president of Anime Club, I'm vice president, we collaborate, like, every week on what to play. So I was like, let's play the first 2 episodes of the dub for Fairy Tail because I haven't heard episode 2 yet. This is a couple of weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And we have this group of freshmen that are ridiculously loud and obnoxious, and we always have to pause the show and yell at them because they won't shut up. For both episodes, the room was silent as they watched these dubs.
Nice. It
was just the best thing in the world. And I'm sitting here in the corner listening to all the voices of the people Fairy Tail because it's the first time I hear, episode 2, and I'm like, oh my god, that's perfect!
Oh yeah, because that's when everyone, like, you see Kana, and you see Gray, and Elfman, and Mira Jane, and everyone.
Oh yes.
Yes. Other members, Makao, and Romeo, and everyone starts to come in for the first time. That's a big deal episode.
I totally agree.
Okay, when you get a voice actor in, do you like when they actually have questions, want some background and some feedback, or do you like it when they're just like, okay, and you give them the directions and then they do what you tell them?
Oh, no, the dialogue is very important. If someone has questions, normally, like, sometimes I feel like I tell them too much. Talk about it, and it's like, oh yeah, in episode 35, blah 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 happens, and then this happens, and you
watch their eyes glazing over.
It's too much to you may have just watched all the shows and like worked on this thing, and you're all
nice to know that the director is fanboying over this series. That gives me so much hope.
But
I love that.
You're all into it, and you think of all these things about the character, and sometimes you have little secrets about the character that you want to build in, things that may or may not exist, and everyone has their attitudes, and you kind of work on the voice. But in a show like this, it's not normally. I mean, people sound kind of like they sound, right? I mean, you talk to Todd, and you talk to Newt, and Jeremy and all them a couple of weeks ago. And they sound pretty much like their characters.
Exactly. It's not like they're pulling too much away from their voice. It's more their natural range. And I can understand why, considering that Fairy Tail is such an intense series and there's a lot of high energy all over the place, no matter who you are. So
yeah, and you want to get, sometimes doing a voice gets in the way of the acting.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you're in voice, and everyone has their certain range that they can stay in. But you want to be able to be concerned about the acting, not necessarily doing the voice. Now,
I think it should be acting. I think it should be acting voice, not voice actor.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people hear the word voice actor, and because voice comes first, and they think that's the most important. And I think you need to be an actor before you do voice over, which is what I call it, a voice over. acting.
Well, totally. And, everyone has their different, some people, of course, Tia doesn't sound exactly like that. And, of course, like the person who, later on we have some characters that, do more, they do their voice who is unique to that character. But, I don't know. It's an interesting part of it.
Well, I mean, I think being able to use multiple voices does have its benefits, especially if you can do like several bit characters in a show that nobody's really gonna like really notice. You can use a person on like little extra characters, like background characters or something.
But I think that you want to tell the actor at least what's germane to the scene, what their motivation is, maybe some of the character's background if you know it.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about we were talking about this at NYAF is like, Natsu is one of the more enigmatic characters because we know so little about him for so long.
I know, and that was one of the things that I was talking about in the panel that we did at Anime Week in Atlanta, because I kind of did like a brief summary of all the different arcs, and up to that point, the most current arc was the Tenro Island arc. And with each arc, and as I started putting this together in the PowerPoint, something became apparent. Every single arc, you learn about somebody's backstory.
Yeah.
So you get Gray, and then you find out about Mirren, Elfman, and
find out like Happy, how Happy came into Fairy Tail.
Yeah, and then you find out about Mirren, Elfman, and the Phantom Lord arc, and then you've got Leo's arc or Loki's arc, either or.
Yeah, Lucy's
Only 2 episodes. As well.
Then you have Loxus, and then you have like all those people, and
there's so many, but the one person we know so little about is actually Natsu, even though we've been with him this entire journey.
Well, that's where you got to give it to Mashima-san. That's like that's good storytelling to where you have everyone, all the characters are 3-dimensional.
Oh, very.
So there's something behind them, and just if you watch the first 12 episodes, you start to learn about Gray, and it's like you see how that informs the rest of his earlier stuff. Now it informs his later stuff, and how he internalizes that and how he uses that.
Well, I definitely like how it is because how he slowly introduces his characters in their past. Instead of, I like this character, it's like you learn to love everyone over the course of time because of how he kind of draws it out.
And if you'll allow me to quote him, this is the advice that he gave when we met him at New York Comic-Con. The advice he gave everyone was to fall in love with your character.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And he was very into that, and of course, everyone's like, "Oh, I do," because we're. It's all about especially that, and it was all about Fairy Tail.
The thing I really loved was I saw
that guy works like a fiend. He was saying like something like he works like 15 to 16 hours a day.
He's like the fastest manga artist I have ever seen. Like that guy gets like a picture done in like 10 minutes. Like that guy is like Mashima Sensei is like one of the fastest mangaka.
Yeah, I cannot draw that fast.
He can draw a full panel in about half an hour to 45 minutes, like that fast. Yeah. And that's another thing I wanted to point out about the manga with him is that when he does the manga, it's very different from all the other shonen series I'm used to seeing because they're only about like 18 or 19 pages.
Mm-hmm.
And when he does his manga, it's about for one chapter, it's usually about 21 to 22 pages. Like he has more pages in chapter than anyone else does, and I like that because it gives you a chance to have more content, and I think it really adds to the story. And I think the biggest reason why I've fallen in love with this story is because it's very character driven.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
So that leads into our next question: how much care did you take with character development?
Behind almost every line, there's some sort of motivation or history that drives why that character is asking this, or why this is what they're concerned about, or why this is their point of view, or what they're really after, right?
Mm.
And I mean that's something that we work with, especially with the main cast, with Todd and with Newt and with Colleen and Jeremy. You know, there's all sorts of things that you learn about the character, and the character develops as you go. I mean, that's why, you know, everyone grows in these shows. The actors grow, the directors grow, the characters grow. Everyone kind of coalesces and comes together, and you know, character development is definitely part of it. But you know, part of the thing is knowing, you know, looking ahead and knowing things about the characters that may have happened. You know, getting into people's backstory. Is you want to explain that, and how would that inform how their character processed something, or how passionate they would be about this thing happening or that thing happening, or why they make joke about this, you know. And it's you know, it colors everything. You know, some characters we don't learn that much about, and some characters we learn a lot about.
Yeah, we definitely do. Charles, you had another question?
How much interaction when, like, getting the story going and whatnot, how much interaction do you actually have with Mishima Sensei in directing and writing this?
I met him for the first time the weekend before last.
So very little?
None. Yeah, none. I mean, all we have is what he's given us in the form of his, you know, he's given us a lot, right? He has a story, he has his characters, there's, you know, the manga, there's the anime, there's all of that.
Well, how integral was he in choosing the auditions? Because I know sometimes that you will have the mangaka involved.
This wasn't one of those shows.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't like One Piece where Oda had to be involved in picking who was doing what character.
No, they were very hands off about the whole thing.
Wow, that's interesting. That well, I think that kind of shows a lot of faith in from the Japanese with what you guys do at Funimation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, they were very hands off about the whole thing, and you know, there were some questions that we had, and we kind of just deferred to the manga for the most part. I mean, there's a couple things that you'll see that differ a little bit from how the manga puts it out there, but you know, we try to keep that as pretty much what to go by. And as far as people sounded, you know, we have the Japanese cast, and we assume that that's all, you know, squared away. So I was happy to get that kind of freedom with casting and with directing. So I didn't feel like there was anyone looking over my shoulder in that way. We had a lot of freedom, but I took that freedom very very carefully without taking too many liberties. I mean, on Fairy Tail, there's weeks that I was working 7 days a week, you know, directing, producing, and writing. So I might be working 65, 70 hours a week just on the show. So
okay.
Did you ever think that you would be the one directing this show? I mean, is it like a really great honor?
Oh yeah, it's a definite honor. I mean, to be honest, I didn't know much about it before it was coming my way, and when I found out it was coming my way, I, you know, digested as much as I could of it. You know, we talked about that earlier before you came along. That, you know, I watched as much and read as much and really tried to absorb myself into it. And once, you know, it especially in the last, you know, seeing it on the other side and seeing how the fans had anticipated it and what an audience there is for it. Yeah, I felt totally honored.
Oh man, there is I guess nobody kind of warned you about this, but from the internet buzz, we kind of knew what we were getting into when we started the podcast, because we're the ones constantly seeing how this is going on the internet. From what's been going on with the buzz and everything, Fairy Tail is actually one of the top 3 series right now.
Yeah, and I'm super excited about that.
It knocked Bleach out of contention for the top 3.
Kapow.
Yeah, it's actually Naruto, One Piece, and Fairy Tail.
Well, you know, and I've worked on several shows since I started directing at Funimation, and some of them, although, you know, liked or respected, weren't quite this I mean, none of them has been this magnitude.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
Baccano is a big deal. I was very happy to work on Ghost Hunt and, you know, and every other show, but, you know, this show felt like one of those big deal shows, and I feel honored that I was trusted to take care of it and to handle it and to see it through from, you know, beginning till hopefully the end.
Well, having watched the episodes that I've watched so far, I can tell you straight out that I don't think they could have possibly put it in better hands.
Thank you. It means a lot to me.
It meant a lot to me when I got to see it because I could tell that that it was well crafted and that the characters, all the things that I've come to love about the characters in the Japanese format that I'd seen them in and heard them in before were all still there.
Good.
So that made it it just meant that for once I could actually pay attention to the beautiful art in front of me instead of having to read the words at the bottom.
Yeah, hopefully it's more of a seamless experience.
I very much appreciate that. I mean, the only thing I could say is the thing that anybody that had been watching the Japanese version before would have to say, which is it's going to take, I mean, it's taken just a little bit of time to kind of get used to how they sound in English as opposed to Japanese. And that's just something you're going to have to run into any time that you do a dub. So, and actually the good news is that it didn't take nearly that long with Fairy Tail as it has for some of the other series that I have. And I've been watching Fairy Tail for a long time, and it just kind of, I don't know what it is about the voices of all the characters, but it just kind of, there were times when I was like, yeah, this is going to take a minute, and then I didn't even realize it, but they had the character so down pat, I was already thinking, oh yeah, that's totally them. And so I think casting, acting, and directing wise, this could not have been a better group at all. This was a great ensemble, and I think
awesome. And like I said, picking the cast, there's those main characters, Yonatsu and Lucy and Gray and Urza, and you want to go with the ones that personally, I wanted to go with a cast I knew, and I knew, we knew intimately. I knew the way that they would respond in the booth and what I could expect from them, and we have to have this level of mutual trust. Yeah. But there's so many other characters that you can really branch out, and you can bring somebody in who maybe was just, Thug A or whatever before, guy who just killed B, and maybe they could have a character name and have substantial experience, and they could, bring their own thing to the table, because there are a lot of roles to go around, and there's a lot of actors at Funimation, and there's a lot of really talented people.
I've heard how big the waiting list actually is for Funimation too. It's a 2-year waiting list right now.
Yeah, it's its own thing. We're a big company. We have a lot of product. We have a lot of people with a lot of experience. It would just go to follow that it's not the easiest place to break into, nor should it be. Really.
Well, I have to say once more that it definitely feels like all of you involved kind of caught the spirit of Fairy Tail, because I think everybody that was involved in the process of this series over here, it definitely feels like it's not necessarily that you wanted to treat it with respect. I think there was a lot of this came out of love for the series and for the characters, and I think that's kind of what the Fairy Tail spirit is. It's about loving everybody that's in this, and there's so much care was taken because you love the series, and I think that definitely shows in the work.
Oh yeah, the show has tons of heart, and by the way, coming from fans like you guys, it really means a lot to me, because that means that it comes across, because I want to do the best job possible, and everyone, of course, wants to do the best job possible, and we work really hard, and we put a lot of thought into it, a lot of care, and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And, coming from a director's point of view, I don't have a lot of the interaction with the fans. I come from, me and Newt were talking about this in our commentary, that both me and him are from either theater or, playing in bands or whatever. And so when you finish a performance, you finish a song, or you do whatever, people, clap, and they either clap or there's crickets, so how it goes instantly. And to this, you might do something, and then a year later it comes out. And so, you just want to know that you want to...
Well, you know how to get in touch with us now if you guys ever need a pick-up. So if you need a pick-me-up, we're there for you. We're your cheerleading service.
It really helps to know how people have consumed, what we've given them, and how they view it.
I know it sounds like we're sucking up, but trust me, I'm not nearly as nice when it comes to criticizing things. So if you do a good job, I will let you know. And if you fail, trust me, I'll let people know about that too. Yeah, I will definitely let you know when you suck. So,
all right.
So the good news is that you don't suck. And now I'm going to say to you the same thing that all of the fans of this show are going to say to you very, very soon. And consider this the first time you're going to hear it if you haven't already. Wonderful work. Good job. Now make us more.
Yes, please make more.
Yes.
We are demanding more.
Yeah, we are. No. We're not demanding more yet. We're demanding. No. We're not going to beg. No, fuck that. I'm not begging. It's as simple as this. I am demanding that everyone buy it so they can make more. Because Funimation doesn't go for thousands of people yelling, "Please, we want this." They money. That's how it's a business first and foremost, and that's what they understand. You guys buy it. You purchase it on Netflix.
Come about it legally. Don't download it. I mean, we have to. It's not like we're all rich or anything. We're doing this because this is what we want to do, and we are trying to. We're trying to keep going.
I'm trying to start this whole thing with Fairy Tail. I'm hoping to start this giant movement, and hopefully Funimation will hear it if enough people shout for it. Is that if we get season 2 up and going, and they realize that there's a massive market for Fairy Tail, maybe they'll do the same thing that they're doing with One Piece and start offering simulcasts of Fairy Tail.
Oh yeah.
I would love for Fairy Tail to be simulcast.
Well, that's definitely something that, I hope they look into.
What was the first anime that you directed?
The first one that I directed?
Yes.
I started working, the first one I ever directed was Case Closed. And it was one of the early, maybe episode 110, 111, something like that. It was kind of right before we stopped dubbing the series of Case Closed, but I started on that one. That was my first gig directing, and then I directed some Negama, and I directed some Rumbling Hearts. Me and Zach Bolton split that show, and then I directed the first show that I really felt in charge of was Basilisk.
Ooh, I haven't heard
Very
that.
nice.
I've seen Basilisk, some.
What's that one about?
It's basically a ninja with fantastical powers, Romeo and Juliet kind of story. It's really good, and I stand behind it. Yeah, I totally stand behind it. I mean, that was early in my career, but I'm very happy with the way it came out, and that was the first one I really felt responsible for, even though I was under a producer at the time. And then Black Cat was the first one I was able to be the director and the line producer over. And since then, there's been a lot of other shows.
I grew up on Case Closed. I absolutely loved that series.
Oh yeah, me too. That's what I started working as an ADR engineer with Mike McFarlane, and I probably recorded 50 of those episodes as an ADR engineer, and so very familiar with the Case Closed world when I was directing that one. And being an ADR engineer, I got to know a lot of the actors, and I'd seen a lot of the different directors that had come through, and the different directing styles, and how people interacted, and what worked, and what didn't, and you kind of develop your own style from there. But it really helped me get acquainted with the actors.
It's always a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and to where you can hear someone go, and you're like, oh yeah, that's Todd, or that's Colleen, or, you can hear them make some small noise, and you know who they are.
Now, I remember you mentioning something before about there being little Easter eggs throughout the series from different shows too. So when we get to the play, there is a moment where we get some Luffy dialogue in there.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah, some of those show up. Krillin has a line.
Sunny Straight. Sunny Straight. Yay.
I mean, that's always kind of fun. It's
that is awesome.
This guy has one line. Make him Krillin, or
So while I've
Carrero, from Sergeant Frog.
Yes. Oh God, I hate you all because right after NYAF, I started watching that, and I am hooked on Sergeant Frog.
He's hooked on the frog.
I am. I'm actually planning on using it next year because I'm going to change the PowerPoint that we have just a little bit, and I'm actually going to put in I'm going to call it that annoying interrupting frog. And I'm basically gonna put it in one of our videos to where he's gonna randomly interrupt our opening, and I'm gonna be like that damn interrupting frog constantly trying to take over the earth. But I love that, and that is another of the things that I cannot wait. I am like eagerly shaking in anticipation of the next set of DVDs to come out because I cannot wait for those.
That's the Phantom Lord.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
I was actually surprised how far into the Galuna Island arc we get to go into with the first box set. So for those of you waiting for it, I'm telling you, it's amazing. Pre-order your copy if you haven't done so already. Make sure you get this because, I cannot describe enough how wonderful the series was when I watched it, and we went through. I've watched all the episodes that were on it dubbed, and even if you don't like the dub, support the official release out here. You can still watch it subbed. It's available. It's DVD. Yeah. That's how it goes.
It's dual language.
Yes. So I mean, it's just if you want more Fairy Tail out, trust me.
It's out there.
It's out there. This is what we're doing. We're trying to promote this, and I'm telling you guys, nothing will make anyone happier than to be able to sign the DVD for you.
And the Phantom Lord arc is really good. It's one of my favorites, and it's got some new exciting characters that come into.
I cannot. The other thing that we're adding to the panel next year. Actually, I'll probably add it to this one. I'll change up the trailer. Because the trailer that we have right now is for the first box set, and I'm thinking I might change it to the trailer for the second one to get everybody. Even though it's actually next weekend that we're showing it, and box set 1 hasn't officially come out all over the place. So some people may have it, some people don't. It depends on where you pre-ordered it through, apparently. But I mean, I'm like looking at this arc, and they're like showing clips of Galuna Island, and then it's Phantom Lord arc that's being shown. I'm like, so what? Because they're already talking about Natsu fighting another Dragon Slayer. So people who don't really know much about the series but have been following with us so far with our anime recaps, first off, you know what I'm talking about because the streams that are up on Funimation are up to the Tower of Heaven arc.
Yeah.
That's what we've recapped.
So you get to meet the Iron Dragon Slayer.
Yes, indeed. And
we get to meet Gajil.
Yes. The funniest part is in our opening for the first one, we introduce ourselves and stuff like that, and then we say, and whoever the hell else we feel like having on here. And then I go, I'll give you a clue. Shoo-be-de-bob!
Oh, yeah. We just recorded that song about a month ago.
Nice. So I have another question.
Yes.
Tyler, I don't know if this has been asked before, but if you had the ability to become any character in Fairy Tail, who would you pick?
Oh, yes, it has, but I love his answer.
Well, it kind of came up at New York Anime Fest in the panel, and I don't know. I'm a Makarov guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the master.
Okay, so grab Tyler on Monday to do Makarov dialogue. Got it.
What would be?
That would be awesome.
Just have you come on and be Makarov. Yeah, sure.
I'm right now. I'm the nexus of the show, being the director, and so I have to pass on my wisdom about the guild to the guild members, Natsu, Gray, and the rest, and so that's my role.
Awesome. That is so
You actually
awesome.
just, this has nothing, well, it's not a question, but, I play World of Warcraft, okay? and they have this random dungeon key. You get queued with all kinds of 5 different people from all over the place, alright? Different realms, different countries, all kinds of stuff. And there is a guild on one of the realms called Fairy Tale.
Ah.
Ah.
And I was like, oh my god, you guys are after Fairy Tale. You guys are in Fairy Tale, is it after the anime? And they go, yes, it is. And then, like, yesterday morning, I got queued with another dude from Fairy Tale, and he was so un-Fairy Tale-like. He was really, really mean. He wasn't considerate at all.
Well, perhaps he was in league with Loxus and them.
Unlikely.
But, yeah, I believe you said you had a surprise announcement for our listeners.
Yay.
Oh, well, I mean, you like these characters, and you have your, I'm sure you have your own ideas of who you would like to hear as the characters. And, I mean, we've recorded all 48, so I know who plays everybody so far. So, you know, for the Phantom Lord arc, we have some new characters in, like Juvia, Gajiel, Totemaru, Soul, Jose, the Phantom Lord Master.
Yeah.
And so, I didn't know if you wanted to know who any of those people were played by in our version.
No, not at all. No, tell us.
Please.
Give us a start. Come on.
All right. Well, for Juvia, I have Brina Palencia.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? I saw her at AWA. Aw.
You heard who?
She was at Anime Weekend Atlanta.
Oh yeah, no one can talk. I mean, now they can talk about it.
Oh, I actually just saw her today because I was at GameStop.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's funny. Her and Chris Burnett are the GameStop people. For the Element 4, we have the water is Brina Palencia. For Totemaru of the Great Flame, we have Justin Cook.
Oh no way! Yes, I actually hailed a cab for him when we were leaving NYAF. Him and Sean Schmel and oh man, because I was actually talking with Justin, and again, a big shout out, different Justin this time, Justin Rojas. Once again, big shout out to Justin Rojas. He hailed me a cab so I could actually get to the airport. But we were actually talking about the Cooking with Elfman segment that I did, and Chris heard that and he was like, "Oh, that sounds cool." I was like, "Yeah, we'd love it if you guys actually checked it out or listened to it, because I mean, this is how you guys would get definitely be able to hear firsthand immediately how the fans are responding to what you've done."
Oh yeah.
And
as far as the rest of the Element 4, so we have water, we have fire. Air is Arya is Chris Rager, voice of Mr. Satan or Hercules.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes, that's awesome.
So we have those. Soul is Barry Yandel. Using lots of actual French dialogue. We have the Guildmaster Jose, which is played by Ed Blaylock, who is also known as Führer Bradley, for you FMA fans.
Dude.
You just got a lot of word with that one.
I'm sorry, when I see Jose in there...
He's not a jalapeno on a stick, it's Jose.
Jose. Oh my God, I have no clue where that came from. Anyway, when I see him, I just picture him being like a creepy, squeaky voice.
I can't wait to hear Brad.
He sounds about as evil as you can.
Oh my God.
So this is great. Now, who did you have playing Romeo?
Romeo is actually a girl named Kayla Carlisle, and she is fairly new.
Okay, well, this is going to be great then, because the one page that you saw that we sent you, at the bottom of it, you learned that Totemaru, one of the 4 elemental 4 for Phantom Lord,
with the stinky fire.
With the stinky fire, actually, he is teaching Romeo all the different traits of fire.
Yeah.
So it's actually going to be kind of cool. You should go and tell Justin, hey, by the way, you're teaching her.
Well, he was definitely someone who I had in mind when I first saw that character because like his Yusuke is very energetic. And
I love that.
He's such a smarmy bastard. And
and I loved him as Yusuke, and it really pained me because I was talking to him about Yu Yu Hakusho while we were walking down the street trying to find transportation to his hotel and my airport, and I was telling him, man, I used to own all the single discs for Yu Yu Hakusho, and then I had to sell them at Hastings because I had roommates that didn't know how to pay bills, and it sucked. And then they released the box sets, and I totally bought those again. So I have my Yu Yu Hakusho collection yet again.
Awesome.
And he was like, dude, that's awesome. So you like bought everything twice. And I'm like, yes, I did. How pumped are you to looking forward to hopefully getting the next half of this?
I'm super pumped. We've already, I've already have some ideas of who I want to be in the cast and how they're going to fit together. And I'm excited about the new story arcs and learning more about the characters and seeing what some of these questions that we've had bring up in the first season, if they're going to be answered or if they're going to be answered in season 3, which we will hopefully also do.
Well, it's definitely good to see that we have a fan of the series in charge, because I think that you kind of have to be if you want to work on a series this massive.
Yeah, it's been all year, so luckily I really enjoy the world that
I've got one more question for you and then another surprise. So, since you gave us a surprise, I'll give you one more. How many volumes of the series do you own of the manga?
Right now, I need to get 16.
Yeah, I don't have that either.
I've got the first 15.
Oh, good. You're right there with me. I've got the first 15. And I think 16 just recently came out.
Yeah, I know. It came out, I think, right like a couple of days after we finished recording because, where we ended up, we were still in the Fighting Festival arc, and, there were some questions I wanted to, because I had, Patrick Seitz in from L.A. Working on Loxus, and, man, we shredded him.
I got to hear his Loxus voice. Oh my God, that was amazing.
Yeah, he sounds like a total prick.
He does.
I love Patrick Seitz to death. He's a great guy.
Well, okay. You can call Patrick and tell him that hopefully this series will continue to do well because Loxus will be showing up in the arc that just wrapped in the manga. So.
Oh yeah.
He rejoins Fairy Tail Crew, so he'll be back and a major character. So he'll have a good bit of dialogue. So there. But
he probably hates me for ruining his voice, but
well, actually, your big surprise. Hopefully, you haven't heard of because I want it to be a surprise. But this is something that just recently came out on Anime News Network, and it was a real treat for us to get to talk about and everything. And it is the fact that the Fairy Tail movie will be coming out in Japan in August next year. And this is another reason why we are trying to promote the shit out of this series, because we want you guys to get the licensing rights to dub everything Fairy Tail.
Excited.
Because we want you guys to do the movie. And we want it in theaters, damn it. I will pay the $18. I don't care.
Yeah, if we actually do the movie, Todd has said he will swallow fire.
Now I have to think of a way to one-up that. That's not fair, because I'm not to on this show. So now I need to find a way to, But no, the crazy thing is, in order to do the Natsu cosplay, I'm like seriously getting myself like back into shape so that when I do the Natsu cosplay, I have the six-pack abs. So, yay!
Oh yeah, they definitely are in good shape.
Yeah, that was the one thing. Like, if I had a chance to sit down and talk to Hiro Mashima, I'd be like, why do you have to make your male characters seem so physically amazing?
I have to lose weight now.
Because like I have to, if just to cosplay Gray, I feel like I have to like. All right, but yeah, once again, that is Tyler Walker, the director of Fairy Tail. We greatly appreciate him coming on, and giving us a good chunk of his time. I was surprised the interview went on this long, but very, very grateful that it did.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much for coming on, Tyler.
Thanks for.
Oh my God, we all love you so much.
Thanks for all your questions, and thanks for all your support. It really means a lot to us, and like I said, we really wouldn't have anything if it weren't for fans like you guys, because that's who we're going. I mean, we want to make you guys happy, and we appreciate that you buy and you promote our stuff, and that you like what we do, and it really means a lot to us.
Well, trust me, from the 12 episodes that I have seen so far, and the commentary and the trailers that I have seen, you ain't seen nothing yet, buddy.
Oh yeah.
Boy.
So while the fans haven't seen anything yet, neither of you guys from our side of things. Like, we are, like, if you think we're promoting you guys now, just you wait. Like, we're gonna keep doing this. This is a series that we love a lot, and we are very, very happy with what has been done with it.
Awesome. Well, look me up on season 2.
I definitely will.
Awesomeness.
Find out about the latest Fairy Tale news, when the next episode is out, or to post on our blogs and let us know what you saw, visit fairytalepodcast.wordpress.com. You can also send us an email to fairytalepodcast@gmail.com.
Of course, all our videos are up on YouTube until we find a good feed to host them for iTunes and Zune. However, we do not have all the audio up on our Mega Upload account, which is linked in the description for every video we post up.
If you want to follow us on Twitter to see what pretty pictures we find, new logos, con info, and awesome music, follow us at Fairy Tale Cast.
Keep up to date on when the newest episodes and chapters come out, as well as chat with other fans of the podcast and the Fairy Tale community. Discuss all your latest obsessions, share news, and chat with the crew of the podcast. Also be sure to send us your AMVs to post, as well as any cosplay images you have. Help our community of fans to grow. So once again, this has been an interview with Tyler Walker, the director of the dub of the Fairy Tale series. Send us comments back. Let us know what you thought of this interview. We should have very, very soon another interview with Todd Haberkorn and Colleen Klinkenberg. So look forward to that. Peace out from the greatest guild in the world.